Live.
I had the history of taking off my shirt. It always reminds me of Miranda.
All right, guys, we're back for another episode in the garage. Brought to you by Top of Ohio Radon. Top of Ohio Radon, owned and operated by founder Paul Newland, great friend of mine, great friend of Garage Sports. Radon's the second leading cause of lung cancer. I had Paul come out to my house a few years ago, and Paul tested my levels and found out that I was in good shape. But what he is finding is there's a lot of people in Logan County that do have dangerously high levels of radon. Radon's the second leading cause of lung cancer. So give Paul a call, have him come out. It's an easy test. He can tell you if you got an issue. If you do, he can make pretty easy work of it. Give him a call at 937-935-2806, Top of Ohio Radon. Have him come out and take a look at your levels. So we're back. It's our third week here at the Craft Emporium. Got a nice crowd again here tonight. The boys continue, and the ladies continue to keep showing up on Thursday nights. Brian Harmon's got a great thing developing here at the Craft Emporium. The Pink House shirts are in. I don't know if he's announced that. It's maybe unofficial. Tomorrow they can pick them up. So sold about 300 shirts along with Yvette Hunsicker and Van Johnson of the Pink House. They sold 300 shirts, and proceeds are going to go to paying off school charges at Bellefontaine High School. 1,800 lunches. Might be some leftover change in there. So a great deal, great shirts. I got a couple copies myself, one for myself and one as a Christmas present. Back with our regular correspondent, our resident football guru, Skylar Mifsud. He's taken extensive notes on his phone to prepare for this college football playoff. You're as prepared as I've ever seen you.
Yeah.
I feel like you know exactly what's about to happen tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
I would do the opposite of what I'm going to tell you.
I'm probably going to go with you, though. Friday night, 8 o'clock, we've been waiting a long time for this. We're about to enter a stage where there's going to be incredible football for like every night for, it feels like, what, a month?
3 to 4 weeks, it seems like, yeah, with NFL and college.
Yeah, so Indiana at Notre Dame, which it's just a crazy matchup to me. The University of Indiana is, I don't know, is it University of Indiana or Indiana University? IU. So Indiana University. There you go. I knew IU. IU, Indiana University, is in the college football playoff. I'm curious what their odds were before the playoff, or before the
Very
season.
high.
50 to 1, 100 to 1 to make it. Kirk Cignetti, in year one, has taken the Big Ten by storm. I remember, was it last winter he got hired, and he kind of had some remarks, and he took a shot at the Buckeyes, and I said, he'll eat those words. Buckeyes did beat Indiana, but he wasn't humbled to the degree that I assumed he would be.
He told us to Google him.
I did Google him, and he is a winner. James Madison, who I picked, James Madison in the Don Hensley famous pool.
Yep, me too.
I found a winner in Jimmy Madison. I'm glad about that. Now, I did take a tough loss last night with UNLV and Cal, so I think I'm sitting at 3 wins. Where are you at on that?
2.
Don Hensley runs a pool. He's always looking for newcomers, so if anyone out there wants to get in the mix next year, he does a pool challenge. He's got all kinds of people in it. So
got a game live right now. Sam Houston State.
Ooh, nice.
Going against Georgia Southern.
I think I'm on Georgia Southern.
7-0 Sam Houston State. Early pick 6. The first few plays of the game.
There you go. Live looking at that game. We got the Thursday night game coming up here. Decent game. Denver Broncos and the LA Chargers. Should be a good one. Back to Indiana Notre Dame. So Notre Dame's a 7.5-point favorite. Marcus Freeman, Buckeye. Pride of Dayton, Ohio. Dayton Wayne, I believe, is Marcus Freeman. Your thoughts, Skylar Mifsud?
I think I'm more impressed with Notre Dame than a lot of people. I think they have a shot at beating Georgia in the upcoming rounds. They're averaging over 40 points a game. Indiana scores a lot of points as well, but Notre Dame's defense is pretty good as well. It's a top 10 defense in the country, and they have 4 top 25 wins. Their biggest win, I think, is at Texas A&M. I watched that Texas A&M Texas game in that environment. For Notre Dame to go into Texas A&M and win the game, I think is impressive. Indiana doesn't have a top 25 win. They did well in the Big Ten, but they didn't play Oregon until the Big Ten championship. They lost to Ohio State. They didn't have to play Penn State, or they lost to Penn State.
You say they didn't play Oregon until the Big Ten championship. They didn't go to the Big Ten.
I'm sorry. Yeah, they lost to Oregon and Ohio State. Yeah, so they don't have a top 25 win. And I like Notre Dame. I think their rushing attack will be a lot. Jeremiah Love, their starting running back. And Riley Leonard has like 800 yards rushing as well.
Riley Leonard's a transfer from Duke. Yep. Buckeyes were kind of rumored to be in on him at some point in that kind of quarterback derby of January of last year. Yeah, I think the thing that people have a problem with Indiana is they haven't beaten anyone. That's the knock on them. Drake Roebuck wants there to be video. There's not going to be video of this show. I hope the ad is showing up. We're getting confirmation from our executive producer, Hoyt Buckingham, that the ad is showing. So we don't have the black screen. We're happy about that. We probably don't have faces for video, so we're happy to sit behind the Top of Ohio Radon ad. Notre Dame, though, kind of gets the same knock from especially Ohio people. You get a lot of Notre Dame haters. I don't know if I consider myself a Notre Dame hater, but I don't particularly love them. I do like Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame loses to Northern Illinois. That, immediately people, I think, said, their season's over. No way they can put them in the playoffs. Of course, they are back. The 7.5 points just feels right to me. I feel like this is the game that Indiana kind of gets exposed. It feels like that's how these stories play out. That you say, okay, it's Indiana hit the wall. And Curtis Rourke, I like the Indiana story though. Curtis Rourke, transfer quarterback at Indiana from Ohio University. Ohio University picked right up where they left off last year with Curtis Rourke and had a great year. If you're a Bellefontaine High School fan or just a local fan, Riley Neer and the Ohio Bobcats will be playing tomorrow at noon, I believe, in Alabama, Orlando, Florida. Who are they playing?
Jacksonville State.
Jacksonville State.
They are 4.5-point favorites.
Don't really expect Riley to get in that game, but you never know. I don't think the portal. I didn't hear any of that talk. Like guys jump ship from OU. Yeah.
OU's the only team in the country to not have a single person enter the portal.
Oh, that's a credit, and they lost their coach. So their coach, head coach at OU, went to Charlotte, which I know we're way off topic now, but that surprised me. I think a lot of people said. But the thing that you realize when you dig into it is OU's notoriously cheap. They don't pay people that well. And he's a long-time OU guy, and he got like a $2 million contract to go down to Charlotte.
OU matched it.
Oh, okay.
And he denied it.
Yeah, that surprises me when you say it like that. So why do you go to Charlotte?
Warmer weather to retire?
Oh, I don't know about that. It's not Miami, but yeah, sunny Charlotte, North Carolina.
Better conference? Do you believe it to be better?
No.
Tulane, Army, Navy?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is, but they just hired the OC, right?
Smith, I don't know his first name. Smith is his last name.
This is Ohio University, so that was good news if you're Riley Neer and people that cheer for him. Continuity's good when you're a preferred walk-on trying to get a scholarship, so that was good news to hear that his offensive coordinator would be back and looking like big things out of Riley Neer. Now, that has nothing to do with Indiana Notre Dame, but I think we both really believe in Notre Dame minus 7.5.
Yeah, I do. There is some possible snow that could impact the game. It sounds like it's going to be projected to be clear at game time, snow before, which I think would help Indiana. But
what a great game, though. Ohio State, we'll talk about them in a little bit. A lot of the talk this week is that it's cheap to get into the Ohio State-Tennessee game. Tennessee fans are buying up the tickets. The opposite is true in South Bend, right? Those tickets are through the roof.
Yeah, crazy expensive. I think $700 you step foot in the door.
Well, you figure, almost the entirety of the state of Indiana is probably either an IU fan or a Notre Dame fan. I guess You got a few Purdue fans in there, but what a great day for the state of Indiana. So we get to Saturday, and everyone's gonna be a little groggy Saturday morning. I assume these games will be long and drawn out. I expect that game to get over past midnight. So at noon, you've got SMU at Penn State. So we're back in the Big Ten. SMU certainly a team that is off of the beaten path. That's not a traditional power. They had certainly a run in the early 80s with the Pony Express, Eric Dickerson. But it's been a long time, and they're now part of the ACC, which I have a hard time with that. Like, I just can't even wrap my head around the fact that they're in the Atlantic Coast Conference. But it is what it is. So they are traveling to Penn State College, and Penn State is an 8.5-point favorite. Another Ohio connection there. Drew Aller is the starting quarterback. Drew Aller is from, I always forget where he's from. Columbus area, right? North of Columbus. Marion area.
I wanted to say, I don't want to say name.
I've been kind of negative about him, and I was negative about him last week, but it does sound like he's come around. He's a dude that has blossomed here late.
It's from Medina.
Medina, okay, so that's not really Columbus. That's north of Columbus, quite a bit north of Columbus. But Penn State, obviously a pretty strong favorite. It's a game that there's not a lot of. You tell me, you're our guru. Is there much common opponents or anything like that?
No, not a ton of common opponents. SMU scores a lot of points, similar to the first game. They're a spread, fast-paced offense, no huddle. And then on the flip side, Penn State, you look at their schedule, and they'll have 2 losses, and they're combined 15 points to Oregon and Ohio State. It's a pretty good.
Two of the best teams in the country, I'd say. It's fair to say. Now, SMU should be thriving in this new environment because they were paying players way before everybody else. I mean, they got the death penalty in the early 80s. They were giving people cars and $1 million contracts. So there's a river of money that runs through Southern Methodist University. I mean, some of you have probably seen the 30 for 30 Pony Express. Yes. I believe that's what it's called. It's one of my favorites. So I do like that SMU's back. I don't think they'll be in the ACC long term. I think all that stuff gets shaken up. But, yeah, like Drake Roebuck said, that Texas oil money does hit different. And we don't have that. They're fracking over in Penn State. I don't think that fracking, I don't quite understand it, but I don't think it pays as well as the oil. I think it's kind of like poor man's oil. Yeah. That's what they do when the oil runs out. So you like Penn State?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I want to preface it with, I told you this earlier, SMU's 1-13 against the spread against top 25 teams.
And how long does that go back?
2 years, I believe.
Oh, okay.
3 years. But I don't believe in James Franklin at all.
Doesn't win big
he doesn't
games.
win big games at all. I know it's a wide out.
It's a big game. It's a big game because it's college football playoffs, but it's not a big opponent.
It's not a big opponent, but it's a big stage, is how I would say it.
Yeah.
And I think SMU is better than what people believe from that Clemson game. Not a lot of people watched SMU this year, I assume. And the first time they probably got good eyes on them was against Clemson. And
Clemson comes back late, or opposite. SMU comes back late.
Kevin Jennings, their quarterback, played terrible in the first half. And they fought back, and Clemson kicks a crazy long field goal. As time expires, they got a great running back, Brashard Smith. He's averaging over 100 yards a game. Penn State's backup quarterback left. I know backup quarterbacks don't usually mean much, but he does play. He's like, when they want to run the ball, like Wildcat, they bring him in. He has 7 touchdowns on the year.
You're talking about a sign of the times. So their backup quarterback started with a B. I forget his last name. It's like Bieber, not Bieber, but something like that. Yeah. This dude transfers out in the middle of a playoff run, but everyone's defending him, saying that it's not like he's abandoned his team. He had no choice, that if he didn't commit somewhere, it's like so that game where they run around the chairs, musical chairs. That's what they're playing with these quarterbacks now. And if he doesn't get in the portal closes in like a week or two. Is that right? And he wouldn't be able to get back in the portal till April, which is already spring ball. So basically the dude, if he wants to be a starting quarterback next year, he had to go.
Which confuses me because there's people that are in the portal that are playing in games. They play Saturday mornings.
So you're saying get in the portal and stay with your team.
Yeah, there's
So
a
why
ton
isn't
of
he
people.
doing that?
The chance that they go to the national title, I guess. You probably have to declare before the playoffs, maybe. There might be a rule in there. I don't know.
I don't know. I know the system's broke, and obviously this is the height of stupidity, what they're doing. It sounds like the calendar is the easiest fix, just to change the dates of the portal. But Privula is his name. I don't know where I got the Beaver part. But, yeah, that's a goofy situation, and it's not good for the sport. It makes a lot of, especially casual fans, just say, this is stupid. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm definitely on SMU. I'm a kind of guy that says if you're going to give me 8.5, maybe I'll just take it up to 10.5, and I'll feel real good about it. By the way, I didn't say I do like Notre Dame, and I actually like Notre Dame big. If you're looking to get a little value, maybe tease Notre Dame up to like 13.5. I think it's a blowout.
I think they might bully them too.
Yeah, I feel like it's just one of those games where we end the game and say, yeah, this was the end of the road for Kirk Signetti, and he's humbled. You can kind of picture the face he's making when they're up like 3 scores early in the fourth quarter.
I like SMU to cover, and
Some people like a money line. I know Coach Kennedy's in the chat saying it's SMU money line.
not all 4 of these favorites are going to win this weekend. Some dog's going to win.
Unfortunately, one of them might win in Columbus, Ohio. We'll get to that. So next, take a little break, and then it's Clemson at Texas. The biggest spread of the weekend. Texas 11.5-point favorite. It's a 2-loss Texas team and a 3-loss Clemson team, but Texas, comes in as what kind of was the best team in the SEC, and then Georgia knocks them off and steals that bye from them. I feel like everybody is on Texas.
I'm on Texas to dominate them.
You love Quinn Ewers.
No.
Okay.
Their defense is elite, and I think Quinn can get them by.
You think Archie Manning's going to finish the game?
There's a chance at some
You
point.
haven't ruled it out.
I haven't ruled it out.
As Vegas.
I don't know. It's a good question. They have their
He's already the favorite for the Heisman next year. Archie.
Yeah.
So
Not
Quinn Ewers is done.
Yeah, he's out of Texas.
He's going to the NFL
Or to another school.
or to a MAC school.
I just read something about him, and he said he's weighing his options because his draft stock is not good because he hasn't had a great year, and he could get paid to stay in college.
I thought when he cut his hair that he was going to be better, and it hasn't happened. I thought
the mullet.
Well, I'm starting to wonder that myself. So I feel like you said, Texas is the team that everyone's on. I don't know about the 11.5 though. Dabo Sweeney has been in so many big games. It just and they recruit at such a high level. And I won't pretend to know their roster up and down because I don't follow it to the extent of others, maybe you included. But it feels like Clemson has a lot of big time athletes, and it feels like they can keep that game close. But that's just me. I'm probably a guy that would say take the under, and that is what I'm taking. I feel like it's a defensive type battle. Offense is bogged down a little bit, and it's kind of one of those games that is ho-hum and maybe a little disappointing.
I think Clemson's running back, Maffa is his name. He was an elite prospect 2 years ago. Last year was a good running back for them. And this year, he's gained weight. He's slow. I think he's going to struggle against them. Texas lost their starting running back at the beginning of the year. And this guy named Quintavion Wisner has stepped in and really been a workhorse for them. And Clemson snuck into the playoffs. They shouldn't have been in the first place.
We're a 3-loss team.
Yeah, 3-loss team, and SMU's their only ranked win this year, and they got that by a 58-yard field goal. So,
Well, Dabo's notorious for not wanting to be in the portal, which I saw that they did sign their first portal player.
congratulations, Dabo.
And I don't know who was that guy.
He was a FCS corner, I believe. That's his first signing. So,
starting slow?
yeah.
So,
Start in the FCS and then maybe work to the FBS after that.
so then the big main event for most of the people that would be interested in what we're talking about is the primetime game, Tennessee, 7.5-point dogs coming up from Rocky Top. There's rumors of thousands of fans coming up, 75, to invade Ohio Stadium.
The number is around 19,000. They got access to 19 to 22,000 tickets is where.
That's a lot
Yeah.
for an away game.
I would guess it's 25% Tennessee fans.
You know, all the talk is that Tennessee is uniquely built to do well against this Ohio State team, their running game. What are your thoughts on their running back? Is he as good as they say?
He's good. I would take Judkins and Travion over him.
Maybe not with a
Maybe
rough
not
shot
with,
line.
Yeah, put Travion and Judkins on their offensive line. Because Ohio State's is being pieced together. I mean, we're going to rotate at guard on Saturday night, possibly, which is concerning to me.
It's real concerning. Yeah, when Luka Montgomery, who we talked about last week, has been an afterthought on the O-line, and now he's suddenly rotating at left guard, yeah, it's a worry. And then when you hear Chip Kelly come out and say they're looking at some different schemes, I always worry about a team that's changing what they're doing going into the playoffs. There's so much negativity surrounding this Ohio State team, more so than really I can remember when you still have all this stuff to play for. People are angry at Ryan Day. I think some of it's a little silly. I mean, certainly losing to Michigan has consequences, and losing to them 4 times in a row has plenty of consequences. But this idea that Ohio State has nothing to play for, I talked about it last week, is just asinine to me. There's plenty to play for. But I don't have a great feeling about it. I am interested, and you've told me that the money continues to come in from the public on Tennessee, and the line doesn't move.
Yeah, and the line's not moving for a reason.
What's that reason?
They want you to keep taking Tennessee.
All the big money, the sharks, per se,
Come in on Ohio
are
State.
on Ohio State.
There was a big group that got on Ohio State -7 when the line came out.
And these are just people that say Ohio State is more talented, and they ignore the noise, they ignore the.
The last time they played was the worst impression they could have left on people. There's 2 different Ohio State teams, that team and then the one that lost on the road at Oregon by 1 point. If that team shows up, they're going to cover the spread against Oregon, or against Tennessee. Tennessee struggled on the road all year. They lost at Arkansas. They lost at Georgia. And then 1-score game, I believe, against a 500 Oklahoma team on the road. So they haven't really performed well on the road.
Yeah, it's always hard for me to give an honest assessment of the Buckeyes. Ohio State grad, lifelong fan. I tend to be the anxious about any kind of matchups, and I'm nervous. I feel like that there's just so much negativity, but maybe if you block that out and maybe, like you said, just let the talented guys take over, and a good coaching staff. Regardless of what you think about Ryan Day, it's a good coaching staff. But Drake Roebuck's talking about Nico, the 5-star quarterback, and that's, he is definitely a key to the game. I got to see Nico up close last spring, not this past spring, but the spring before, when Tavian St. Clair had been offered by the University of Tennessee. Myself and Coach Brown and Coach Caudill and Coach Kennedy went down and visited Tennessee's campus. I had a great time. I really like Josh Heupel. He's my kind of guy. He's a quarterback. He looks like a lineman now, which I kind of appreciate. He is a down-to-earth dude. Their offensive coordinator, I believe you've met. I always say his name wrong. Hosley. Coach Hosley was the quarterback coach who met Tavian, came to Bellefontaine High School, and now he's the O coordinator. He's a good dude, real down to earth. Got to see Nico up close and got to see their facilities. Like I said, real good time. My cousin has lived in Knoxville his entire life. We text all the time. He has been texting me for years about Tavian, and now he's just stunned that Tennessee's playing in Columbus against Ohio State. So I'm excited for the game. I'm not going to let anybody steal my excitement for it. Nervous, certainly. If the Buckeyes lose, there'll be a lot to talk about next time. The future of Ryan Day will be very much up in the air. But, they win, and all of a sudden a lot of that negativity just slips away.
I think another key to the game is how well our defense does playing to their tempo. Getting lined up, you've talked about for years how fast Tennessee plays at times. And,
But run the ball.
Yeah, run the ball.
And that's sometimes worse. Yeah, they're going to tempo you, but they're going to power you. And I think that can really be tough when you're D-line and your linebackers.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting game. I do think Ohio State covers. I think we have a bigger negative view of it because we're Ohio State fans. The world has fallen. When you step back and look at it, Ohio State is a much more talented team. So I'm going to roll with the Bucs.
Well, I am too. I'm just going to roll with the Bucs because it's in my blood, and let's hope for the best. Let's hope for a good game, an exciting game, and I hope there are some good games coming up. Coach Mifsud, I appreciate you coming on. I know it's hard for you to get out and about sometimes. You got this young baby. She's over a year old now, Stella, and you got a lot of things to do. Tomorrow's the last day of school, so this thing's about wrapped up for 16 straight days.
Don't rule out 17. We'll see what happens tonight.
There's some amateur weathermen working around the clock, saying their prayers that there could be a little snow overnight. But we're going to switch gears, get out of the college football world. We'll talk local wrestling, Bellefontaine Wrestling. We're joined by, and our microphone, there we're good, joined by Bellefontaine head wrestling coach Aaron Labatt. Coach Labatt, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Have you been to the Craft Emporium before?
Many times.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, not too many, I hope. But, yeah, you've been to the Craft Emporium, a great place out here on West Chillicothe. Coach Labatt, you've now had the Jimmy Mac and at least one other tournament, Worthington Kilbourne.
Yep.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how many guys you got out. Let's start with that.
25.
25, that's a big number. Is that what you started with?
No, we started with almost about 32.
So you lost a few, but still 25 is a good number. What mix of young and old, I feel like?
We got 4 seniors, 2 juniors, and the rest are freshmen and sophomores.
Okay, so mostly young. Tell me about, so Jared Young is back.
Yep.
Now, Jared's only a junior.
Correct.
Let's backtrack a little bit. District qualifiers from last year, returners.
Just Jared.
Just Jared. Okay, so I was on the right track.
Yep.
Your return, Jared Young. Tell me a little bit about him. He's a guy I know, but maybe tell me the details.
Jared's been to districts, traditionally a smaller guy, 106, 113. He's made went 2-2 districts, so he's been 2 matches from qualifying to state. So far in his career, he's 30 wins each year. He's been competing. He's a little heavier this year. He's up to 132. We're gonna try to get him down to 126 or 120. He's always been talented, but this year he seems to have a little bit more fire, a little bit more aggressiveness in his offense and his attacks. So he's kind of taken a step forward this year, maybe compared to the first 2 years, which has been good to see.
Lifelong wrestler. Dad, Brian Young, was a really good wrestler. Benjamin Logan in the early 90s. Sister Michaela was a star wrestler for Bellefontaine's female team. Was a state runner-up. Is that right?
Third, and second. Yep.
Third and second. She's now still wrestling in college.
Yep, All-American at Indiana Tech.
Okay, so wrestling family. So Jared understands the time and effort that goes into it. Good leader on your squad.
He's got voted as a captain. I think that's kind of maybe encouraged him more to kind of step out of his shell and be a little bit more vocal. Kind of lead more than he has in the past. So.
What do you have a feel? I know back in the old days you used to really know the landscape of the weight class. Like, is it too early to have any clue what you're looking at there? I mean,
a little bit. I typically kind of wait till the holiday tournaments because that's usually when guys kind of make a drop to see what they're at against the field. So yeah, we'll know here in about another 2 weeks or so.
So you got a handful of seniors I saw kind of on the pictures. Xavier May,
Yep.
4-year guy for you. Tell me a little bit about him.
Xavier's a great guy. He's a program guy. He's always in the room, staying extra, coming early. Has always been a leader, even before this year. Kind of gets in his own head a little too much. He likes to maybe try to do a little too much out on the mat. We try to slow him down and keep it basic because he just loves to learn. He loves to try things. He's worked a lot with Coach Maurice, John Maurice, Bellefontaine grad, who coached him.
Johnny told me about Xavier May when Xavier was going into his freshman year, he had high expectations for him way back then, and really felt like he was going to be a star. Now he's gotten a lot bigger than he was maybe back then. What's he, middleweight guy?
Oh yeah, I mean last year he was up to 150, I think 144. This year he had to cut down. He started the year at 75. He's now at 65. We're gonna try to get him down to 57. But yeah, he has not made it to districts yet, which I would say is a surprise. He's definitely a district caliber type of kid. It's just kind of one of those things, you know. It is some years some weight classes are always loaded. Well, unfortunately for him, it's just always been a situation where he was always kind of the odd man out with some, you know, state qualifiers or returning big, highly ranked district guys.
And we'll talk about the change in the district here in a little bit, because obviously there's some big changes coming for all the local Division II schools. Outside of May, other seniors.
Jeffrey Smith, he's a 113-pounder right now. Actually, with alpha testing, can get down to 106. So that's going to be something we're going to kind of look at.
Been around for a while.
Yeah, he moved up here.
Went to districts 2 years ago.
As a freshman.
Okay,
106.
I got you.
You know, his dad is Chef Will over there at Chef House.
Yeah,
Shout
big
out,
fan.
yeah.
Big fan. I think it is right up there with the best restaurants in town.
Yep, absolutely.
Changing daily specials, I'm a big fan of. They don't see me much in there because Coach Moss always picks it up. I think he gets like friends, or he gets like the rewards program or something.
Yeah.
Coach Moss picks it up for us pretty regularly at BHS.
But yeah, Jeffrey came up here from Kentucky as a freshman. Made the district his freshman year. He's a thrower for a little guy, but yeah, he's fiery and he's kind of a go-getter, eater, I'd say. So we got high expectations for him.
So definitely a district kind of guy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Along with May, along with Jared.
Yep.
And then other seniors.
Hayden Allenson came out this year for the first time.
Athlete.
Oh yeah, super athletic, great kid, very coachable.
Wish you'd have got him out earlier.
Coach Maurice and Coach Poole came up to me at separate times and, man, why did we get this guy? You know, why did he wait so long? We've talked to him multiple times. You know, we're working as fast as we can with him now, but he's doing things now on the mat, you know, that we haven't even shown him yet. He's just instinctively doing things out there, and he's surprising us every week.
So Chieftain football fans would recognize him as one of the backup running backs, and got, you know, a fair amount of carries and some slot time. You know, I coached him in football, and I always liked Hayden's talent. I always thought he had good feet and good hips. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that he would find some success. You know, I always told those football guys that if you're a decent athlete, especially if you're lighter, well, even if you're heavier, you can find wins. Now you might not beat the good kids, but you'll beat, you know, the kids out there that don't really know what they're doing. So be nice to steal some wins. Has he gotten any wins yet so far?
Yeah, he got first match out in Worthington Kilbourne. He threw a kid and pinned him.
Nice. So, has a great grandma too. I don't know if you've met her, Miss Helen. She's a longtime BHS teacher's aide. She was a special needs bus aide for years. I love Miss Helen Parker. She's just a great woman. She takes very good care of those kids. Big fan of hers. That's it. That's a wrap on this. Connor Evans. We haven't talked about him yet.
Yeah, I love Connor to death. I never gonna find me say anything bad about that dude. He'd run through a wall for you. We love Connor. He got a concussion in football. I don't know what week that was, but he got another concussion at the Jimmy Mack, and he is kind of having some, you know, getting his head looked at, some medical stuff at Nationwide. But we don't know if he's going to make it back this year or not. We hope he does. We obviously want him to be healthy and safe. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens with Connor.
Connor was a starting right guard for the Chiefs. I coached him for 3 years as a lineman. You know, he came into the program. When I first met Connor, he was in the winter of his 8th grade year, and he did not look like a guy that was probably going to be on Friday nights, and he became a team favorite almost immediately and endeared himself to all the kids and really blossomed as a person and as a player. And I was really proud to watch him play this year in a meaningful role. And he really does get the most out of himself. You know, Connor is not, you know, the most talented guy. And I don't mean that. I mean that as a compliment, because he, through sheer desire and care, made himself into a decent football player. He has good balance. He really understands leverage. And he's strong when he gets his paws on you. And, you know, he can pack a punch. So so proud of him, and
He was voted the captain by his teammates.
no doubt. I mean, he's such a good person. It starts with that, and he's very, very popular. He's a guy that the casual fan may not recognize, but anybody that's been involved with Chieftain football and obviously, like you're saying, Chieftain wrestling knows what Connie brings to the table. So the rest, do you have anyone else? You got your seniors, younger guys. We talked about Jared because he is a junior, right? Any other younger guys that you say district caliber type?
He might be sniffing around at districts as junior Draven Drake.
Saw he started with a good tournament at the Jimmy Mack.
Got third. He went to Jeff Jordan's over the summer. Went to a couple other camps. Wrestled on a lot.
What
of
grade?
Opens, junior.
Okay. Now I've not heard of him, and he's going to Jordan. So is he new?
Nope, he's been out. He's just kind of always been behind some guys that were just a little bit better than him.
Yeah.
Behind the Jareds, behind the Jeffreys, and behind the Zane Tevises and those guys. So he just kind of was always kind of in those weight classes that were stacked, and he got a varsity letter and started about half the season for us as a freshman, but was kind of stuck on JV last year behind some guys that were a little more talented than him. But he put a lot of mat time in over this summer, and from the very beginning of the preseason, we've noticed a change in him and an improvement. And then he showed that at the Jimmy Mack when he got third. And I think he went 2-1 or 2-2 at Worthington Kilburn. But he's really been pleasing to see so far.
Now the schedule, is definitely different. Obviously I was the head coach from 2009 to 2013, and you took over after that. I think those dates are right.
Yep.
You took over in 2014. Does that sound right? And then was the head coach until 2018?
18, and then Coach High was 2019.
Till 2022, something like that.
21.
And then you've been back for 3 or 4 years now.
Third or fourth year back.
So been the head coach for a total of 8-9 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
But always stayed with the program and was a middle school coach before you were the head coach. The schedule, though, it definitely is different. So Worthington, Kilbourne, what draws you to that? How do you get there?
Like I said, we got a pretty young squad, so my focus was getting a lot of matches, a lot of mat time for those guys.
Like those dual tournaments.
Yep, dual tournaments, yep. Like last year we went up to the J.C. Gorman, and that's because we had a handful of district caliber guys, some older guys, some more experience, and we wanted to kind of give them that type of tournament. But with having so many young guys, we definitely focused. I think we have 3 dual tournaments on the schedule right now.
Because, and obviously you know this, but others may not, that if you go to a tournament like the Gorman, that's a bracket style, that your wrestlers that need the most work are going to get the least work. Because they're probably going to lose 2 matches and be done. And that is what has drawn people to either duels or pool play. There's some tournaments that do a really good job of that. They'll put you in pools, and then they kind of keep you around, even if you're losing. Things that nice about pool play is you'll get with the guys that are losing. And that's a really good format.
Wrestle all the way out to 11.
Absolutely. And, the Jimmy Mack duels, you spoke about that. Obviously, that's near and dear to my heart. I started that tournament in 2011. It actually started as a Jimmy Mack tri-meet. It was Mechanicsburg, us, and Kenton Ridge. And slowly built into an actual tournament. Now, I don't know if it was you or Coach Hyatt that switched it to the Invitational. Okay, so it is no longer duels, it's an invitational, and you've continued with that, and you just feel comfortable, but then you've added a dual tournament later in the year. Talk about that.
Yeah, we had the Chieftain duels. It's just going to be a 16 dual tournament, 5 rounds.
Who's coming to that?
Right now we have Eaton, Oakwood.
Eaton 18?
Yeah.
Usually a pretty good squad. Mark Silvers, he's still there?
No, he's not.
Okay, he's retired?
Yeah. He might actually be coaching the girls team, I believe, now. But Eaton, Troy, Oakwood, and then there's a new team in our sectional, Bethel, Tip City Bethel.
Yeah.
They're kind of new.
Yeah, well, they just keep getting bigger.
Yeah, and then we had recently had a team kind of drop out. You know how that goes sometimes. So.
I know exactly how it is. Wrestling coaches are notorious for not getting things signed. And the ADs look and say, we're going where? And, it's you learn in the wrestling, it's not like football. You don't ever hear that, hey, that game just got canceled. In wrestling, you better make sure that you know. And you learn to not do business with certain folks because certain folks are good at that not paying attention. But so you're down a team right now. You're looking for someone, which things happen. Weather, that's the easiest way for you to gain that team is, get a snowstorm on a couple weekends and all of a sudden everybody's looking. That's, and you've seen this obviously over the years, but other people may not know that you've seen some really good wrestling tournaments prop up because of weather. every now and then you'll see all of a sudden a tournament that wasn't very good gets a bunch of good people. I feel like I can't think of it now, but Graham had a situation like that where they went somewhere that they had no business going to, and it was because Jeff Jordan, their head coach, longtime head coach, they got canceled to weather, and he was like, I just wanted something close. And
we were at Hammer and Anvil one year, and it was already tough enough. We were sitting there, and another tournament got canceled, and Mason came walking in.
Yeah.
Mason A-team, and we're like, oh boy.
Yeah, longtime D1 power down in Cincinnati. So where are you off to next?
We're off till the 4th. We're going to double in Scioto. We've been there before.
Been there for a while, it feels like.
Yeah, we kind of got into it early. It's kind of filled up with some newer teams, but a lot of D1 Central Ohio teams. It's going to be a pretty solid and good tournament. So,
and I'm going to lean on you a little bit here and show my own opinion. Any thought to trying to get back a little more local with some of the tournaments?
we're going back to the Raider Invite this year.
I did not know that, honestly. I had not looked ahead that far. Well, that's great news. That's a tournament that I feel like the Bellefontaine Chiefs should be in every year.
We were going to get in Indian Lake Duels last year. Something happened with that. They weren't able to have the tournament. But we're getting back into that. I'm talking with Coach Dixon right now. We're trying to get an in-school duel with Indian Lake.
Speaking of that, I love hearing that. Any thoughts to the Logan County Tri-Meet? Obviously, if you're doing the Indian Lake duel, that kind of flies in the face. But last night was a great duel, sounds like, between Indian Lake and Benjamin Logan. And that got me thinking, and I even posted, it made me think back to the Logan County Tri-Meet days, which when I took over in 2009, we'd been beat up on in that try for quite a few years, and we didn't come in and dominate it, but we did beat Indian Lake one year, and we beat Ben Logan a year.
Coach Mifsud was
Coach
critical in that
Mifsud,
win.
on the Indian Lake win, he famously did not get tech balled by L.J. Henderson, one of the best Indian Lake wrestlers in recent memory. They've had a lot of them, though, but he hung on and lost by 14, and we won the duel by, I think, 1 point. Seth Newman, I believe, sealed it with a win, a pin. That was a huge win, and we ended up getting the dirty little secrets. We got beat by Ben Logan in the next duel, and Indian Lake was the better team. But I mentioned this last night online that Coach Grant had a knack for weighing his kids in a way that could beat us. And a lot of people don't know what that really means. You do that. You got these squads, and you've got certainly with us, we had some teams that or some kids that were really good. We had some kids that were very average, and we had some kids that weren't any good. And so a lot of times it's how do you match up? And Tony Grant, the Hall of Fame coach, the founder, the godfather of Ben Logan Wrestling, and a great friend of mine, would always find a way to weigh his kids in a way that you'd say, you'd go, oh no, that's not what we want. That is not the matchups, because it's matchups. And you say, well, this kid's going to now pin this kid, and then he gets choice, and it spooks me to this day, because I know the feeling the first time it happened where I thought I had it figured out, and I see him weigh in, and I think, oh no, I haven't thought of this, and I have no idea now what we're doing. But those Logan County Tri-Meets were a lot of fun. Scott Tressler was in Indian Lake, and then eventually Ryan Dixon, and Coach Grant was there. Now it's Kyle Seeley. Any thought to getting back in that if, this Indian Lake thing doesn't work out?
Yeah, no, I'm certainly open to revisiting that Tri-Meet. I know Coach Dixon, I think, would prefer it to be a little later in the year, maybe not in December. But it's something definitely I'd consider talking to both those guys about.
Do you agree with me that just having local wrestling is really good for the sport?
Oh, absolutely. I think you can look at any of the schools in this area, including West Liberty, and just talk about the rich tradition, the rich history that we've had around here, and I think that helps motivate the kids and just kind of look what's been in the past, and they can be a part of that if they keep working.
When I took over, we were pretty down, and the one thing that I knew is a lot of those kids had no idea what the state wrestling tournament was. They didn't know what the district wrestling tournament was, but they knew what beating Ben Logan was. They knew what beating Indian Lake was. And if I sold them on that and just said, hey, you want to go over to Indian Lake and wrestle them and try to beat them, even kids that never wrestled before would say, yeah, I'll join that squad. And, we really took that very seriously. And certainly, not that we achieved anything great, but I do think it's really good for the culture of a program. I think that it excites people. It makes people want to come. it's hard to go. Now, you got to have those away tournaments too. And we, Coach Mifsud, if he was still here, would tell you about me taking him up to Defiance. And that was a long drive to just get absolutely pummeled. So you do some of that too, but it does take a mix. Now, speaking of the county scene, it feels like this Ben Logan and Lake team are pretty good.
Yeah, they're both really good. I know they've got Indian Lake had a couple of those guys that just wrestled for the first time at Galleon because of football.
Right.
But I'm glad to see Czar Bronx, his brother. Czar Dixon is back.
Both of them, Czar and Bronx. Dixon are good, yeah.
Yeah, Bizarre's back after his football injury, so I was glad to see
I didn't
that.
realize he had a football injury.
He was in a boot for a while.
Okay, yeah, I didn't. And I just assumed he was slow coming back from football. Starts with Owen Pummel for them, though.
He wrestled at heavyweight last week.
That's new, right?
Yes, they did alpha testing. I noticed he was bigger, thicker. He wrestling at heavyweight right now. He was ranked at 215, but he's up at heavyweight right now. He was ranked third at 215, but now he's ranked number 1 by Bellefontaine at heavyweight. But I believe he's working on getting back. He's just a little bit over 215, around like 220, so he's trying to get back down to 215.
Now, if you're ranked number 1 at heavy, and you said Burrow fan, which a lot of people don't know who that is, he's a guy that he's kind of the guru of, if you watch football, it's Drew Pashore, he uses math, but Burrow fan, he's very knowledgeable. He, back in the old days, there's a guy named Brian Brakeman, who in the pre-internet days, if anyone's listening that precedes the internet, as a wrestling fan, you waited and waited and waited until late January, the Brakeman report would come out, and it was this, brilliant guy from Cleveland who would write a huge, just 90-page document on wrestling, and I was just absolutely mesmerized by it, which makes sense now that I'm doing the things I'm doing. Is I couldn't wait to read that thing cover to cover. But now you get it at the click of a mouse. A Burrow fan can tell you in March who the guys are for the next year. So now the Pummel kid, what is the highest he's finished? Third? Fourth, okay. Brother was a state champion for the Lake, and he's wrestling in college. Yep. You know where he's at?
What's that called? Glenville State.
Okay, and that's in Michigan?
Might be Granville State.
Granville State. Granville is up in Michigan, I believe.
Okay, no, he's I want to say it's in West Virginia.
Okay. So, Ryan Dixon's obviously done a heck of a job. The program was built by Bill Fulton over 20-some-odd years, and Coach Scott Tressler was there for probably 6-7 years. Coach Dixon's been there now for a while, like 10+ years, and he's got a pretty good machine going. And the thing I always look at the Lake, they always have those high-end kids. We at Bellefontaine, and even Ben Logan, maybe a lesser degree than us, struggle sometimes to have those high-end state champion, high placers. The Lake can spit those guys out. They've had how many champions now? Kevin Chrisman, Pummel.
State runner-up. You had Hayden Pummel.
Chrisman wasn't a state champ?
He was runner-up.
Okay, I got you.
Lost to Houston Evans.
You're right. Yep. Of Graham. Yep. So, yeah, and they've had a lot of places.
Lance Ash, state runner-up in 2005.
Yeah, that's true. So, but Indian Lake is deep. I mean, they got
some Hendersons coming through. One was a freshman right
now.
now.
These can't be brothers, can they?
No, I believe it's his cousin.
Okay.
But yeah, he's a freshman, lighter weight.
Already ranked, I saw.
Yep. Got Bronx, Czar's younger brother, 132 or 126, and then Keyshawn Blackwell, former state alternate, I believe he's a senior this year, but he's somewhere in
I
there.
don't feel like he's wrestled as much early on, the Blackwell kid. His record is smaller than the others.
They went to Franklin the first week of the season, and a lot of those guys didn't wrestle.
Is he a football player too?
I don't know if he's a football player, but I just know a lot of those guys. I don't think they were alpha tested.
Gotcha. And Benjamin Logan, Kyle Seeley has taken over for Tony Grant. Kyle's been here, 6-8 years now? It's been a while. Kyle's a local guy, wrestled for Tony, was originally a Bellefontaine guy, and then transferred to Ben Logan at some point. And, he's built a lineup there. They feel like they are kind of top to bottom, it looks like, on the outside looking in. They've got a handful of dudes that are probably state caliber kids, or say 5-6 of them.
Oh, yeah, Hayden Heights.
Now, is this still like Russ Heights' brother?
Yes.
So that family is. I mean,
they have a lot.
Harvey is. I know Harvey. Yeah, he had a lot of kids over a long period of time. Because Russ Heights, I coached against him, and that's been 10 years ago.
And So there's Hayden Heights. Owen Weeks was an alternate. Hayden Heights was an alternate or 6, something like that.
Brian Jordan's son, Owen Jordan, I believe.
Owen Jordan, he's a heavier one. I think he's 190 maybe. Right
I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Jordan. It's long before your time.
2-time state runner-up for Ben Logan.
Just a one-time state runner. State runner-up as a junior, and this was when Coach Grant first got that program going. I've got some articles I'm going to share eventually. It's tough because I don't have the Bellefontaine Examiner, but I did find a good Springfield News Sun article on Coach Grant, and it's like the '92 year. And that's they'd only been around for like 2 or 3 seasons, but he had a heck of a team pretty quickly, and credit to him. He's obviously a Hall of Famer. I haven't seen Tony in a long time. I don't know, have you seen him around?
I saw him last year somewhere, but yeah, it's been a minute. I don't know if he gets out as much maybe, but yeah.
But Kyle Seeley is, he's built a program, not built a program, but he has kept that thing going and improved it in some ways. And they just beat Indian Lake, so they're probably specifically built for the duels. They made it to was it last year they made it to the duels?
Yeah.
They made it to the Schottenstein Center or the
I think so,
St. John's, wherever they do it at. So
They got the Buck Boys and the lighter weights.
I didn't hear any results on them yesterday because I felt like at least one, either Carter or Cooper, matched up against an Indian Lake guy that looked on paper, Shirk maybe. It looked like there would be a matchup. And some of this I'm kind of just reading it. I don't, I'm not as into it as you are, but I was anxious to see some results. I couldn't get them online.
I couldn't find it either.
Little tidbit for all wrestling people, which I was one. I still am one. I actually coached wrestling tonight for you upstairs. I don't know if you realize that. I coached
tonight, I didn't know
6
tonight.
and 7-year-olds. We got a little crew that wrestles on Thursday nights up on the wrestling deck, and they were pretty feral tonight. They were hard to pay attention, but I thought we got better tonight. We had an hour practice, and we finished with some cross the Delaware with dodgeballs, and it was pretty exciting. But wrestling people could do themselves a favor by turning stuff in. Promote,
Myself included.
turn it into results. People want to know who won. Give us the results. Give us the whole thing. Now, last thing, great. They're not in D2 anymore. This is crazy.
D3, when the rumors started swirling last year before they did the enrollment count, everybody was kind of chomping at the bit till the numbers finally came out. But this like Borough fan wrestling guys, your buddy
Josh Lowe,
yeah.
college. I went to college with Josh. I used to officiate with him. He is the wrestling national guru, right?
Yep.
I struggle with Josh. Josh is very opinionated, and he doesn't really care about the fact that he's talking about children. He needs reminded of that. I have reminded him that a few times on Twitter. But, Josh was probably breaking that news that he knows the numbers.
But he's coming out with those numbers, let everybody know. But yeah, they're D3 for the first time. So they're going to the Troy district, which totally changes our landscape at D2, which, our kids are thrilled to death about. Our sectionals, I don't know if you knew this, our sectionals at Northwestern.
No, that's new.
Yeah, I'm not real happy with that.
It's not a draw. You're automatically placed there.
Yeah, it's all the teams that were the Graham, same sectional team, same field.
Graham doesn't host anymore.
Yeah. But I'm not a fan of Northwestern's gym personally, but we're going there for the sectional. Kind of going over the years, you know how this was with Graham being the sectional. It's kind of like, certain weight classes depending, but usually you can count one out of the 4 spots for Graham. Well, now it's kind of more of a, opened up a little bit for everybody.
Where have Ben Logan Indian Lake? I should know this. Are they?
Ben Logan's back with us. They came back up from D3. They've been to D2 since the last cycle. But Indian Lake is still at D3.
So if you're Indian Lake and you're Ryan Dixon, you're saying, "Are you kidding me?"
That Troy district is
I went down. When Indian Lake went down to 3, there was a lot of talk. Just when I would discuss it with people, they'd say, "Oh, that's good," and I'm like, you're getting away from Graham, and maybe at the state tournament, it's definitely probably weaker. But man,
we got Legacy Christian, we got Miami East, Mechanicsburg.
Yeah, there's some
Mechanicsburg.
studs.
They're over in the Central District now.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're going to that Southeast Central District now.
Wrestling in particular, of the sports I watch and follow, there's always changes. Speaking of that, what in the heck is going on with the scoring?
As a coach, it's frustrating because it seems like every year or every other year they're tweaking something, they're messing with something.
This isn't a tweak, is it? What?
No, it is. We're not necessarily against it
Tell
either.
me what the change is.
Changes is to takedowns are now 3 points.
people can't yell 3 the way they yell 2.
I still yell 2 in practice, and the kids remind me. They know better. They remember it better than I do.
I mean, every wrestling tournament in the country has some mom yelling 2. Now they're going to yell 3?
The way they look at it is it's rewarding the offensive wrestler. So, which I kind of get that, but and then the other thing is the near fall is now 3 is not the max. You can get out to 4.
And how do you get to 4?
Just swipes. If you get 1 swipe, it's 1. If you get 2, it's 2. 3, 3, 4, 4. And then if you get to 4,
So 4 is 4.
4 counts as 4. And then if they have to stop it for,
You can get a 1-point near fall now?
pretty sure, yeah.
A 1.1?
It's per swipe.
I got you.
It's per swipe.
But it doesn't go past 4.
No. Oh well, the only way it can go past 4 is if they cry out. If they have to stop it for any reason, then they get an additional point. That's 5. But that's the max. So you could stop at 3 count, stop the match.
So tech falls just got a lot easier.
Oh, there were tons of tech falls in the first period last weekend at Kilburn.
And you get to take down a 4-point near fall, you're up 7-0. You do that 3 times, even with kicking them, and it's over.
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
It's been an adjustment for sure.
Yeah, I think I will struggle with that. Now, so that's trickling down to the Pee Wee level because I've got a 6-year-old that's going to wrestle. Next, I got to remember.
We were just talking about the youth meets the other day in practice, and I'm refereeing one of the first ones, and Coach Spence and I were talking about that, and yeah, it's 3 points. So.
Well, yeah, I guess I never thought of that as a problem, but hey, that's what they pay those guys the big bucks for, is sit around and come up with new things and keep everybody interested. So, off for the holidays, back, which I'm a big fan of, and we went to the G quite a few times when I was the coach, but honestly, what I realized was coaching during the holidays as a wrestling coach is so miserable. You spend all your time worried about people showing up, A, and being on weight, B, and just taking that 2 weeks off is kind of the way to go, and just say, you know what, and the wrestling season's so long. It's not like you get to the end of the season and say, man, if we really should have hit it harder around Christmas time.
They actually shortened the season by a week.
So the state tournament's earlier, or you started a week later?
Started, what would it be? I'm trying to think how. I think they moved it. All I remember was it was about a year or 2 ago. They sent a thing out to all the coaches. They voted either the 2 biggest vote getters were keep it the same or shorten it by 2 weeks. So instead of doing what either group wanted, they just split the difference and they shortened it 1 week.
Well, I would shorten it by 2 weeks because I always felt like the winter sports season was crazy long.
It's like 5 months.
Yeah, and you don't even have, in football, yeah, if you go to the state finals, you're playing 16 weeks. But in wrestling, if you get a few kids in the districts, you're at 14 or 15 weeks right there.
Now that we're talking about it, I can think about it. I think they shortened the start week, so now we're starting a week later than we usually do. So we're starting a week before Thanksgiving, so it's tough.
Which is not. It's nice to get away from football, especially if you're at a school that does well. Indian Lake obviously saw that a deep playoff run, but of course they can just start a little later. It's easy to figure that out. But anything else that we need to know?
No, I mean as far as the county or just
Just
as far as us?
wrestling, just in general.
It's getting interesting with a lot of the teams. I've been doing it long enough now where you just kind of see some of these programs that some of them stay the same, like an Indian Lake or a Graham, but then you see some of these other.
Graham's seen a lot of. They're good, but
yeah.
Jeff Jordan's long gone now. They're on like their 3rd coach since Jeff.
Yeah, but just kind of seeing some of the different programs rise up and new programs pop up, and then having the girls programs around the state coming through and growing. It's just been interesting and different here in the past decade, I guess. So, but yeah, other than that, no, we're just kind of chipping away and grinding away and trying to get these young guys better, and it's going to be an interesting year for us. So.
All right, well, we'll be watching. We've been sharing the honor roll out on the webpage. I don't know if you've seen that. That's one of the easier ones. The wrestling's pretty easy. Swimming really about buried me. I finally got it shared out today. Swimming, there's just a lot to it. Now that I've got it out once, I think I'm okay. But wrestling, yeah, it's just as simple as the records, and I wouldn't dabble in the stats. I would no way I was going to do takedowns. I would just be, I know I as a coach wasn't very good at keeping stats, and I didn't want to get down that road. But appreciate you coming out. Appreciate Craft Emporium for hosting us. I know that the background noise, some of our guys, Josh Jones, Coach Jones, always lets us know the truth. We do have a little background noise. The boys are having a good time watching this. Looks like a pretty good game going on here with L.A. and Denver. And appreciate certainly top of Ohio Radon. I know you're a big fan of Paul Newland.
Absolutely.
give him a call, 937-935-2806. Get him out. Find out if he got a radon issue, and if you do, he'll take care of it. If he won't, he'll give you some peace of mind. We're going to take a week off next week, December 26th. We'll be some of us traveling up to Detroit for the Quick Lane Bowl. It's a pit in Toledo and an epic battle up in Detroit, Michigan. And but we'll be back January 2nd, and hopefully we're still talking Buckeye football. I don't know, or we're talking about who the next head coach at Ohio State will be. So, all right, for Aaron Labatt and Skylar Mifsud, see you in 2 weeks.